Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tuassir wa tammim bil khair. Lesson number 34, the last lesson of the course. Alhamdulillah. Ha nahnu nasilu ila ad-dars al-akhiri bi'awnillahi ta'ala. Here we come to the last lesson with the help of God Almighty. The diptote al-mamnu min as-sarf. And I believe that this lesson is basically a review of the whole course, like starting from book number 1, book number 2, and now to the end of book number 3. So whatever we have learned about the nouns that are diptotes, it is going to be a review of everything that we have learned so far. Al-mamnu min as-sarfi, the diptote, and we named them as partially flexible. And we know that there are two types. There are three types of nouns. We have triptote, which is called munsarif. And munsarif means that the endings will have three different states in three different forms. We know that a noun can be marfu'un, wa mansubun, wa majrurun. So triptote means it will take tanween. That's number 1. For example, ismul mudarrisi Muhammadun. The teacher's name is Muhammad. And similarly, it can be Muhammadan. And also, dhahabtu ila Muhammadin, I went to Muhammad, and we can see that majroor case is represented with kasra over here. So triptote means a noun, when it is marfu, it accepts tanween, and it can have dammatan, fathatan, or kasratan. For example, Muhammadun, Muhammadan, and Muhammadin. But when we talk about diptote, al-mamnu min as-sarf, that means generally it does not accept tanween. So that means in three states, in marfu, mansub, and majroor, it has two forms. What are the two forms? Either it has dhamma, ismul mudiri Ibrahimu, the principal's name is Ibrahim, or it takes fatha, dhahabtu ila Ibrahima, I went to Ibrahim. Now we can see over here that it's not ila Ibrahimi, it is ila Ibrahima. And why it is ila Ibrahima? Because we know that it is al-mamnu min as-sarf, it's the name of the prophet, or it's non-Arabic name. That's why it does not accept kasra. So it will either take dhamma or fatha. Now we have discussed and we have learned several groups from the beginning of book number 1 or from the beginning of the course. And we have different groups. For example, we have seen that the feminine proper nouns, for example, Zainabu, Khadijatu, Makkatu, and Jahannamu, they are diptote or they are al-mamnu min as-sarf. They are feminine proper names. Similarly, masculine proper names, for example, so here we have feminine and masculine proper names. Hamzatu, Talhatu, Usamatu, and Khalifatu, they end with ta marbuta. So they are masculine proper names and they end with ta marbuta. That means they are also diptotes. Masculine proper nouns ending with alif and noon, we call it alif noon zaidatan, we can say as well. So Sufyanu, Ramadanu, Marwanu, and Uthmanu. So masculine proper names that end with alif and noon. So if it's a masculine name that ends with ta marbuta and it ends with alif and noon, it will be diptote or mamnu min as-sarf. Then we have adjectives that end with alif and noon. For example, we have fa'lanu, and they come on the pattern of fa'lanu. Kaslanu, lazy, mal'anu, full, ghadbanu, angry, and atashanu, that is thirsty. So the adjectives that end with alif noon, they are also diptote or they are mamnu min as-sarf. Masculine proper nouns on the pattern of af'alu. Similarly, the nouns that come on the pattern of af'alu, that's proper nouns. They are also mamnu min as-sarf. For example, Ahmadu, Akbaru, Anwaru, and Asgharu. And similarly, adjectives that come on the pattern of af'alu, they are also mamnu min as-sarf. Ahmaru, Abiyadu, Aswadu, and Akhdaru. And we know that these are colors. Non-Arabic proper nouns, for example, Ibrahimu, Williamu, Baghdadu, and Pakistanu. They are non-Arabic, but they are proper nouns. And that's why they are also mamnu min as-sarf. Similarly, some patterns of broken plurals, for example, we have af'ila'u, and on the pattern of af'ila'u, we have asdiqa'u, aghniya'u, aqwiya'u, and awliya'u. They are also mamnu min as-sarf, or they are diptote. Fu'ala'u, on the pattern of fu'ala'u, we have zumala'u, fuqara'u, and wuzara'u. And two also patterns, and they are called muntahal jumur. And that means that we cannot make further plural from them. We have one mafa'ilu, and on the pattern of mafa'ilu, we have masajidu, madarisu, makatibu, fawakihu, and hadaiqu. And similarly, we have mafa'ilu, and on the pattern of mafa'ilu, we have manadilu, mafatihu, and fanajinu. So if you are able to memorize or learn these categories properly, inshallah, your journey of learning Arabic language and learning the Quran and the Hadith will be very, very easy. Now we can see that there are some patterns. For example, af'alu is a pattern, fa'alanu is a pattern, af'ila'u, fu'ala'u, mafa'ilu, and mafa'ilu. These are the patterns. Whereas from 1 to 4, or we can say 1 to 6 or 7, these are different categories like feminine proper names and masculine proper names, and also adjectives on the pattern of afalu, and non-Arabic names, they are also mamnu min as-sarf. Now what you can do, basically you can take a screenshot or you can take a picture, save it on your computer or on your mobile phone, and try to go through these categories every now and then so that you get used to the nouns that are mamnu min as-sarf. However, diptote nouns or al-mamnu min as-sarf, they can accept tanween, or they can accept kasra in the following two cases. They can accept kasra in the following two cases. The original construction will be abwabu masajida, because it's on the pattern of mafa'ilu. So we can see that it does not have kasra over here. So it will be abwabu masajida. However, if al is used with them, I mean with the nouns that are al-mamnu min as-sarf or diptote, then they will accept kasra. For example, you say abwabul masajidi, the doors of mosques. Now we can see over here that because we have al with that, so now it can accept kasra. So that's the first condition where the nouns that are diptotes, they can accept kasra. Number two, when they are used as mudaf. When we say fi masajidillahi, now we can see that masajid is mudaf and lafz al-jalala is mudaf ilayh. And before that we have harf jar, so we can see that now it can accept kasra, so we can say fi masajidillahi. When we say abwabu masajida, it does not accept kasra because here it is used as mudaf ilayh. But when it is used as mudaf, for example, masajid is used as mudaf, then it can accept kasra. And the next example is abwabu masajidillahi. Again, we can see that here masajid is mudaf and mudaf ilayh both. So that's why it can accept kasra. So these are the two possibilities when the nouns that are al-mamnu min as-sarfi, they can accept kasra. Number one, when they are used as al, and number two, when they are used as mudaf. Not mudaf ilayh, when they are used as mudaf. So in this lesson, now we will learn in further detail, what are the possibilities of the nouns. First, I provided you with a summary, and now we will look into further details. Al-mamnu min as-sarfi, the diptote. It is mu'rab noun which does not accept tanween. So mu'rab, something that is i'raba yu'ribu i'raban. Mu'rab is on the pattern of ismul maf'ul. So a noun mu'rab is a noun that does not accept tanween. For example, Ibrahimu, Fatimatu, Ahmaru, Masajidu, and Zumala'u. Now you should know, like, why do they not accept tanween? Because Ibrahim is a non-Arabic name, or it's the name of the Prophet. Fatimatu is a feminine Arabic name. Ahmaru is on the pattern of af'alu. Masajidu is on the pattern of mafa'ilu, and Zumala'u is on the pattern of fu'ala'u. So now it should be easier for us to understand like how it works. And these diptotes, they are of two kinds. Number one, nouns which do not accept tanween for only one reason, And then we will see that there are nouns that do not accept tanween for two reasons. So first look at the nouns that do not accept tanween for one reason, only one reason. This reason is one of the following things. Alif ta'nith, that is the alif signifying femininity. It could be alif maqsura. As we know, alif maqsura means the short alif, or we call it ya without two dots. So it is alif maqsura, or alif mamduda. And alif mamduda means that after alif, after the regular alif, there is always hamza after that. So that is called alif mamduda. Alif, and after that, when we have hamza, that is called alif mamduda. And a noun that ends with alif, which is basically ya without two dots, that is called alif maqsura. Alif al-ta'nithi al-maqsuratu, for example, marda, so we can see that it ends with alif maqsura. Similarly, dunya, it ends with regular alif. Habla ends with alif maqsura. Hadaya ends with regular alif. And fatawa ends with alif maqsura. And we can see over here in the notes that marda is basically the plural of maridun. Dunya means world. Hubla means pregnant. And hadaya, we know that it's the plural of hadiyatun, hadaya. And fatawa is the plural of fatwa, which is religious ruling. However, so here we should know that this alif maqsura is basically extra alif. This is what? This is extra. This is not the part of the root letter. But whenever alif maqsura is the part of the root letter, for example, fatan, and we know that the plural of fatan is fityatun. Similarly, we have rahan and asan. Now here, alif is the part of the root letter. So when it is a part of the root letter, then it is mamnu min it is not mamnu min as-sarf, then it will be on the different pattern. For example, fityatun, fityatan, and fityatin. So that's the only small thing that we need to know. As I said, we will try to understand further details. First, we looked at the categories. That was a summary, but now we will understand the details, like how it works. And here we can see that alif in these words is the third radical, and it's not an extra alif. So we will say fa, ta, and alif. These are the root letters. Whereas here, when we say marda, here we will say that this is alif maqsura is extra. So the root letters are mim, ra, and dad, and alif maqsura is extra. Then we have alif al-ta'nithi al-mamduda, the extended alif or the elongated alif. And this is, as I said, when we have alif, and after alif we have hamza. Sahra'u, hamra'u, asdiqa'u, and fuqara'u. So here we can see that we have alif mamduda, and also alif mamduda is mamnu min as-sarf. And we can see that sahra'u is desert, hamra'u is red color. It's the feminine of ahmaru. And the plural of sadiqun is asdiqa'u. And similarly, the plural of faqirun is fuqara'u. However, something very important. Any noun that comes on the pattern of af'alun, it will be flexible. That means it is triptot. That means it will accept tanween. And what is the exception? We can say, you can just memorize it as an exception, that a noun that comes on the pattern of af'alun, that is triptot and that is flexible, and that will accept tanween. And also it will be, for example, we have here anha'un, ala'un, aba'un, and asma'un. They are not mamnu min as-sarf because they are like aqlamun, awladun, ahkamun, and they are on the pattern of af'alun. And the hamza is the third radical and not extra. So that's why the reason is hamza is the third radical and that's not extra. Or the easiest way to memorize is that any noun that comes on the pattern of af'alun, that is not mamnu min as-sarf. That is a triptot and that is not a diptot. Number two, al-jam'ul mutanahi. That is the plural of the patterns of mafa'ilu and mafa'ilu. What is basically jam'ul mutanahi? As we can see that it means the ultimate plural. What does that mean? Ultimate plural means some plural forms can be changed to this form to get what is called jam'ul jam'i. For example, amkinatun is the plural of makanun. So makanun is singular and the plural is amkinatun. Now amkinatun also has a plural, which is amakinu. What is the plural of amkinatun? It is amakinu. Now amakinu, we cannot make the plural of amakinu. It's not possible. Why? Because now it comes on the pattern of mafa'ilu. So when it comes on the pattern of mafa'ilu, that means this is al-jam'ul mutanahi. That means we cannot make further plural from that. So that's why we will say that this is the ultimate plural. So number one, when a noun ends with alif maqsura or alif mamduda, that will be mamnu min as-sarf. And number two, when it is Jam'ul Mutanahi, and Jam'ul Mutanahi has only two patrons. One is Mafa'ilu and the other is Mafa'ilu. And we have more examples over here. For example, we have Masajidu, Madarisu, Asawiru. So we can see that Masajidu, Madarisu, they are on the pattern of Mafa'ilu. Similarly, Asawiru, Hada'iqu, Salasilu, Anamilu, and Fanadiqu, all of them are on the pattern of Mafa'ilu. So these are on the pattern of Mafa'ilu. Now we cannot make further plural from them. It's not possible. And similarly, we have the next one. We have Mafatihu, Asabi'u, Fanajinu, Tha'abinu, and Manadilu. So these are on the pattern of Mafa'ilu. So whenever we have the noun on the pattern of Mafa'ilu and also on the pattern of Mafa'ilu, then it will be Mamnu min as-sarf, it will not accept tanween. However, if ta marbuta is added to them, if they come on the pattern of Mafa'ilatun, for example, Mafa'ilu is Mamnu min as-sarf, right? Mafa'ilu is Mamnu min as-sarf, but when ta marbuta is added to them, then they become triptot. Then they will accept tanween. For example, Talamidatun, it's the plural of, we know Talamidu, and we have Talamidatun, and Dakatiratun, Dakatiru, Duktur. We know basically the plural of Tilmiz is Talamida, and then we have Duktur, and it is Dakatiratun. And Ustadun, the plural of Ustadun is Asatidatun. Now we can see because they have ta marbuta with them, that's why they can accept tanween. So now we can say that they are not mamnu min as-sarf. However, if they come on the pattern of mafa'ilu, for example, tamatimu, they come on the pattern of mafa'ilu, tomatoes, batatisu, they come on the pattern of mafa'ilu, potatoes, and then we have tabashiru, that is chalk, that is on the pattern of mafa'ilu, and sarawilu, that is trousers, on the pattern of mafa'ilu, then they will not accept tanween. However, if ta marbuta is added to them, then they can accept tanween. Or we can say they are not on the pattern of mafa'ilu or mafa'ilu anymore, because what happened? It has changed from mafa'ilu or mafa'ilu into mafa'ilatun or mafa'ilatun, so that the pattern has changed. So once the pattern changes from mafa'ilu and mafa'ilu, then there is no need to say that it is al-mamnu min as-sarf, then it can be triptot. That means it will accept tanween. Now we will look at the nouns which do not accept tanween for two reasons. First, we have seen the nouns that do not accept tanween for one reason, and now we will have a look at the nouns that do not accept tanween for two reasons. Number one, proper nouns, and they do not accept tanween. For example, if they are feminine, as we have seen in the beginning of the lesson, Aminatu, Zainabu, and Hamzatu. Hamza has ta marbuta, but it's a masculine name, so that's why it will not accept tanween. If a feminine proper noun is made up of three letters, something very, very important. If it is made of three letters, of which the second letter is sakin, or we can say the middle letter is sakin, and then it can be used both. It can be used as mamnu min as-sarf, and also it can be used masruf. For example, Hindu, Da'du, and Rimu. Don't worry about the meaning. These are the names of the persons, feminine Arabic names. So it can be used in both. It can be used as diptot, and it can be used as triptot. Hindu, Da'du, and Rimu, and also it can be Hindun, Da'dun, and Rimun. And what's the reason? The reason is the second radical is sakin. So if a letter has three, or if the noun has three letters and the second letter is sakin, then it can be read in both ways. It can be diptot and it can be triptot. However, it is better to go with this idea because we know that the names, as we know, the Arabic names or the proper masculine names or the feminine names, they are mamnu min as-sarf. So this one will be easy to remember. Number two, a'jamiyun, when they are non-Arabic. Ibrahimu, Williamu, and Pakistanu, they are non-Arabic. So that's why they do not accept tanween. However, Nuhun, Lutun, Shithun, Jurjun, and Khanun, they accept tanween. And the reason why they accept tanween, because the second letter is sakin. Nuhun, Waw is sakin, Lutun. And similarly, we have Shithun and Jurjun and Khanun. So here we can see that the second letter is sakin, so that's why they accept tanween. As far as the names of the prophets are concerned, I gave you the names of 5 prophets: Nuhun, Lutun, Hudun, Shu'aibun, Salihun, and then Muhammadun sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have seen that these 5 names of the prophets, including Shithun, so we can say 6 names of the prophets. We have discussed that they are exceptions. Now we know that the reason why we wanted to say they are exceptions because we wanted to memorize them. But now we can see that why they have tanween, because the second letter is sakin. So you can go in both ways. Either you can take them as an exception. What are the nouns or the names of the prophets that I told you? Nuhun, Lutun, Hudun, Shu'aibun, and Salihun 5, and Muhammadun sallallahu alaihi wasallam 6, or alayhi salam ajma'in. And Shithun is number 7. So these are the 7 names of the prophets. Either we can take them as an exception, or we can say not Muhammadun, but the rest of the 5, as we can see over here, because the second letter, as we can see here, it is sakin. So that's why it's possible to read it with tanween or without tanween. However, but if it is feminine, it remains mamnoon min as-sarf. For example, Balkhu, Himsu, Nisu, Mushu, Bathu, and Barthu. Don't need to worry about that because these are the names of the cities in different countries of the world. And really, they are not used, in everyday life. So that's why we don't need to worry about that. If they are masculine, they will accept tanween. But if they are feminine and they have 3 letters and the second is sakin, still they will not accept tanween. They have 3 letters: Balkhu, Himsu, Nisu, Mushu, and Bathu and Barthu. We can see that they have 3 letters, and we can see the second is sakin, but they do not have tanween. Why is that? Because they are feminine. So they won't accept tanween at all, whether the second letter is sakin or not. However, if it's masculine, then there is a possibility. Jawharun, which is a Persian word meaning a gem, and is also used as a proper noun. It is basically, it's a non-Arabic word, and it was like taken in Arabic as a common noun and was later used as a proper noun. It accepts tanween. Jawharun, which is a purse, and also in Arabic, this majawharun and majawharatun is the word that is used for jewelry. So this is an exception, as we can see that it's a proper noun, but it has accepted tanween because it is non-Arabic name and it was added to Arabic. So the second one is ajamiyun, when they are non-Arabic. So the first one, we have seen that if they are proper nouns, and number 2, if they are non-Arabic, and number 3, if they are ma'dulun. Adala ya'dilu is to do justice. Ma'dulun, that means they are justified. Now this is a category, they call it justified. If they are ma'dulun, i.e., for example, they are on the pattern of fu'alu. For example, fu'alu, we can see zuhalu, umaru, hubalu, and zufaru. So umaru and zufaru, as we can see here, zufaru and umaru, these are the names of persons. Zuhalu is the planet, Saturn, and hubalu is the name of the pre-Islamic idol. So these are on the pattern of fu'alu. So we can add one more pattern, that a noun that comes on the pattern of fu'alu, that is also mamnu min as-sarf. And in category, it has been given the name as ma'dul, that means justified. All right, so if they end in extra alif and noon, for example, extra alif and noon, Ramadanu, Marwanu, Sha'banu, and Uthmanu, they are also mamnu min as-sarf. The name Hassanun accepts tanween. Why? Because it is on the pattern of fa'alun. It's not on the pattern of fa'alanu, it is on the pattern of fa'alun. So there is extra tashdid from husnun, and the plural is hassanun, and that's why the third radical here is not extra, so that's why it will accept tanween. Number 5, if they resemble a verb in their form, whether they are on the pattern of past tense, af'alu, or they are on the pattern of the present tense, which is mudari, zada yazidu. So when they come on the pattern of af'alu, and then similarly on the pattern of the mudari, for example, adhabu and yabi'u. So on the pattern of adhabu, we have ahmadu, and on the pattern of yabi'u, we have yazidu. So they are also mamnu min as-sarf. If they are compound of two nouns, these are basically two nouns, ma'di and karibu, and similarly we have hadra mautu, hadra mautu. So these two are basically compound, they are a combination of two nouns, so that's why they are also mamnu min as-sarf. Amr ibn Ma'di Kariba was the name of the Sahabi of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Hadra Mautu is a place, it's a region in Yemen. However, we don't need to confuse Hadra Mautu with Hadara Maut. If it is with Fatha, Hadara Maut, then that means when the death comes to someone. And Hadara Maut has been used a lot in the Quran. For example, in Surah Baqarah, verse number 133, Am kuntum shuhada'a idh hadara Yaqub al-mautu. So hadara mautu means, or were you witnesses when death approached Yaqub alayhi salam? When it is with fatha, then that means when death approaches to someone, when death comes to someone. So we know that hadara is verb, and mautu is the action of the doer of the action, the fa'il. So hadara maut means when death comes to someone. But when it is hadra maut, when the second letter is sakin, that means it is a region or it's a place in Yemen. So we need to be careful about this, because in the Quran, إذا جاء أحدكم الموت أو حضر أحدكم الموت, or as I gave you the example from Surah Baqarah, verse number 33, we should not be confused with this one. That is the combination of verb and noun, whereas this is the combination of two nouns. Hadra is a noun, and mautu is also a noun. Similarly, Ma'di is a noun, and Karibu is also a noun. And as I told you, that the name of the Sahabi was Amr ibn Ma'di Kariba. So that was the name of the Sahabi, radiyallahu anhu. Now we talk about the adjectives. Adjectives do not accept tanween in the following cases if they come on the pattern of af'alu. So whether they are nouns or adjectives, the only thing that we need to remember that whenever they come on the pattern of af'alu, that means the nouns will not accept tanween. For example, akbaru and ahmaru. The feminine of kubra is akbaru. Of kubra is akbaru, and similarly, the feminine of ahmaru is hamra'u. Sorry, akbaru is masculine and kubra is feminine. Similarly, ahmaru is masculine and hamra'u is feminine. The word armalun, widower, accepts tanween. Why? Because its feminine is armalatun, widow. So armalun is also on the pattern of af'alu, but it accepts tanween. Why does it accept tanween? Because its feminine comes on the pattern of armalatun, yani it accepts ta marbuta. If they are on the pattern of fa'lanu, for example, jaw'anu, shab'anu, atashanu, and mal'anu, also we know that the feminine of jaw'anu is jaw'a, shab'anu is shab'a, and similarly atashanu, atasha. So they have different feminine, but here armalun has a feminine that comes with ta marbuta. That's why it accepts tanween. If they are ma'dulun, I have explained earlier that ma'dulun justified noun, and ma'dulun is adjective, and it is one of the following things. So here, if the numbers which are on the pattern of fu'alu or maf'alu, so if we know numbers and colors, they are adjectives. Please remember that numbers and colors are adjectives. So if they come on the pattern of fu'alu or maf'alu, they will be mamnu min as-sarf. For example, thulathu, 3 at a time, ruba'u, 4 at a time, mathna, 2 at a time, and mathlathu, 3 at a time. And we can see the example from the Quran. وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تُقْسِطُوا فِي الْيَتَامَى فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. So now we can see here that mathna wa thulatha wa ruba', they do not accept tanween. Here they have only fatha over here. Similarly, ukharu is the plural of ukhra. And also in the Quran, the word ukharu, which is on the pattern of fu'alu. So basically, we have to go by the pattern. It is also mamnu min as-sarf. وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيدًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَى. Ayyam is majroor and ukhara is also majroor, but it is majroor bil fatha because it is mamnu min as-sarf, and that's why it does not accept tanween. So if a noun comes on the pattern of fu'alu or it comes on the pattern of maf'alu, then it is mamnu min as-sarf. Okay, i'rabu mamnu min as-sarf, the case endings. I have explained briefly in the beginning of the lesson, and now we can see more examples over here. We have learned that the i'rab of mamnu min as-sarf in book 2, in book 1, lesson number 323. That is the last lesson of book 1, the first lesson of this book. The jar al-mamnu min as-sarf is fatha instead of kasra. So we know that generally the nouns that are mamnu min as-sarf, they do not accept kasra. They will accept only fatha. For example, Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima. Darastu fi madarisa kathiratin. I studied in many schools. So we can see that madarisa, here it is majroor with fatha. It does not accept kasra. And so this is mawsuf and kathiratin is sifa. And we know madaris is a broken plural. That's why the sifa is singular feminine. So now both of them are majroor. Madaris is majroor and kathira is majroor. But we can see here madaris refuses to accept kasra. Why it refuses to accept kasra? Because it is mamnu min as-sarf, because it's on the pattern of mafa'ilu. Similarly, safartu min Londona ila Berlina. I travel from London to Berlin. So here again, London and Berlin, we can see that they are the names of the cities. That's why they are mamnu min as-sarf, and they do not accept tanween, and also they do not accept kasra. هذه كتب زينب. These are Zainab's books, and we can see that here Zainab is mudaf ilayh, but it refuses to accept kasra. So madaris, London, Berlin, and Zainab, they refuse to accept kasra. Why do they refuse to accept kasra? Because they are diptot, they are mamnu min as-sarf. However, as I explained in the beginning of the lesson, that when al is added to these nouns, then they can accept kasra. As we can see over here, nazaltu fi hadhihi al-fanadiqi. I stayed in these hotels. So we can see here that because al-fanadiq has al with that, that's why it is now here majroor, and it accepts kasra. Uktub bil qalam al-ahmari. Again, we can see that al-ahmar has kasra, that's why it has accepted. Al-ahmar has al, that's why it has accepted kasra. And similarly, sallamtu al-raghifa lil walad al-jaw'ani. I gave the loaf of the hungry loaf to the hungry boy, a loaf of bread, we can say, to the hungry boy. So we can see that al-jaw'an has al with that, that's why it has accepted kasra. So as I explained in the beginning of the lesson, that a noun, if it is a diptot, but when al is added to that, then it can accept kasra. That's the first possibility. And the second possibility is, okay, let's look at the examples in the Quran first. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِرَبِّ الْمَشَارِقِ وَالْمَغَارِبِ إِنَّا لَقَادِرُونَ. Now we can see that mashariq has al and magharib has al, so that's why it has accepted kasra. Birabbil mashariqi wal magharibi. So we can see that Rabb is majroor because of harf jar ba, and it is mudaf, and al mashariq and al magharib is mudaf ilayh, and it has accepted kasra when it is mudaf. So the second possibility is when these are used as mudaf, I mean the nouns that are mamnu min as-sarf, then they can also accept kasra. Darastu fi madaris al-madinati. I taught in schools of Medina. Now here madaris is used as mudaf. Madaris al-madinati, the schools of Medina. So because it is used as mudaf, now it has accepted kasra. That's the second possibility when they can accept kasra. Ittasaltu bi asdiqai Bilalin. I contacted Bilal's friends. Again, isdiqai is mudaf and Bilalin is mudaf ilayh. That's why it has accepted kasra. And huwa min ahsani at-tullabi. He is one of the best students. Ahsanu is on the pattern of af'alu, but here it has accepted kasra because it is used as mudaf. And in the Quran we have لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Now we can see here that ahsan has accepted kasra because it is used as mudaf. So two possibilities of the nouns that are al-mamnu min as-sarf or tiptoed. Two possibilities to accept kasra. Number one, when they have al with them, and number two, when they are used as mudaf. Ma'nan, and the plural is ma'anin. Jariyatun, and the plural is jawarin. Nadin, and the plural is nawadin. Ma'nan meaning jariyatun girl, and nadin club, and the plural is ma'anin, jawarin, and nawadin. Such words are on the pattern of mafa'ilu. So it was nawadiyu, but we know that whenever we have ya in the end, then it's a noun which is called manqus, and manqus is always marfu with kasratan. So here they are marfu, and we know that if a noun is manqus, it is marfu and majroor with kasratan. Marfu and majroor with kasratan. However, when we add al with them, then ya comes back. So nadin becomes an-nawadi, jawarin becomes al-jawari, and ma'anin becomes al-ma'ani. And these are called al-jam' al-mutanahi, as we have seen that the nouns that come on the pattern of mafa'ilu, there are only two patterns, mafa'ilu, and they are al-jam' al-mutanahi. That means the absolute plural. Now look at the case endings. هذه الكلمة لها معان كثيرة. Now here ma'anin is marfu'. And how do we know it is marfu'? The easiest way is to understand or to recognize because it is mawsuf and the sifa is marfu'. So when we see that the sifa is marfu', that means it is also marfu'. This word has many meanings. Here ma'anin is mubtada and it is marfu', and here it takes tanween, or we will say it's mawsuf and then sifa, or we will say it is mubtada and kathiratun is predicate, subject and predicate. أعرف معاني كثيرة لهذه الكلمة. أعرف, I know معاني. Now it is used as maf'ul bihi, and that's why it has accepted fatha, or we can see that here the i'rab is shown with fatha. I know many meanings of this word. Here it is mudaf ilayh and it is mansub. Here it does not accept, or it does not take tanween. And tusta'malu hadhihi al-kalimatu bi ma'anin kathiratin. This word is used in many meanings. Now we know that ma'anin is majroor and kathiratin is also majroor. So this is where we need to be slightly careful, that when we look at the noun and the noun has kasratan, it's not necessary that it is majroor. It is also possible that it can be marfu, as we can see over here. Ma'anin is marfu and kathiratun is also marfu. Here when it is mansub, then fatha will be shown over there, and when it is majroor, we know that it will take kasratan bi ma'anin kathiratin. Here are some more examples. Tujadu huna nawadin mukhtalifatun. We are talking about various clubs are found here. So nawadin is marfu and mukhtalifatun is also marfu. So this is mawsuf and this is sifa, and we know that mawsuf and sifa are equal in number, gender, capacity, and status. However, nawadin, as we know that this is ismul manqus, that's why the ending is shown with kasratan. So nawadin mukhtalifatun, various clubs. Assas an-nasu nawadiya mukhtalifatan. People have found various clubs, and we know that ismul manqus, when it is mansub, then the ending will be regular. That means it will be shown with fatha. So nawadiya, why it does not have tanween? Because it is on the pattern of mafa'ilu, nawadiyu, mafa'ilu. And we know that if a noun is on the pattern of mafa'ilu, and when it is mansub, then it will accept fatha. So astasa nasu, astasa is fa'il, an-nasu is fa'il, and nawadiya is maf'ul bihi, mawsuf, and mukhtalifatan is sifa. Now we can see that mawsuf and sifa, both of them are mansub, and both of them are shown with fatha and fathatan. Huwa udwan fi nawadin mukhtalifatin. He is a member in various clubs. And now we can see over here that nawadin is majroor and mukhtalifatin is also majroor. Mawsuf wa sifa. Huwa udwan fi nawadin mukhtalifatin. He is member in various clubs. So alhamdulillah, we have seen in detail the different possibilities of the nouns for being diptotes, and we have seen in the beginning of the lesson the summary, and also throughout the lesson, we have discussed all the possibilities in detail. So inshallah, in the next lesson, we will start our text, and inshallah, we will try to implement and figure out the rules that we have learned so far. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.